Hello, my name is Alexis Adams. I am an animal science major at the University of Kentucky. Today I'm here to present to you my term project for ASC 325 Animal Physiology. This video is over the physiology of diseases, more specifically Johne's disease in cattle. Throughout this presentation we'll be covering the following topics. These are: what is animal physiology? About the disease, normal physiology versus disease physiology, symptom explanations, in terms of physiology for Johne's disease, and also citations for our sources. I hope you enjoy. According to Pressbooks, a book publishing company, animal physiology is the study of how animals form or structure and function to sustain life and shape responses to environmental conditions. ACLA, an animal science research facility, claimed that the proper study of animal physiology is crucial for understanding and evaluating underlying biological processes, behavioral states, and animal responses to different biological, social, and environmental stimuli. By examining the animal's physiology of a normal bovine compared to that of a bovine with Johne's disease, this can lead to faster diagnosis and aid in treating the animal. Johne's disease is a highly contagious, chronic, and typically fatal infection that affects the small intestines in ruminants and, in our case, cattle. It is caused by Mycobacterium avium, subspecies paratuberculosis, which is a hardy bacteria related to the agents of leprosy and TB. Johne's disease can also be found worldwide. There are 4 stages to Johne's disease in cattle. Stage 1 is a subclinical, non-detectable infection that occurs in calves, heifers, or livestock under the age of 2. This will progress slowly over months or even years, and most livestock can recover from this phase of infection. Stage 2 is known as subclinical shredders. This occurs in heifers or older animals. These livestock animals will appear healthy, however, they are shredding billions of the paratuberculosis bacterium within their manures. Current levels and other blood tests are not reliable to detect Johne's disease within animals at this stage. These animals pose a threat to other livestock near them due to contamination of environment. Stage 3 is known as clinical Johne's disease. Animals in this stage have an advanced infection and show clinical signs and symptoms. These can be influenced or initiated by stress. Clinical signs at this stage include diarrhea, weight loss, and a decrease in milk production. These animals can recover but oftentimes relapse due to the stress that's placed on their bodies. These animals are shredding billions of Johne's disease causing organisms, and fecal organism detection tests give us the best results. Most animals are positive on serological tests, which do show that Johne's disease occurs. Clinical signs may last days to weeks to even months to progress to the final stage. The final stage is known as emancipated animals with fluid diarrhea. This is what we usually link with Johne's disease. This is a terminal stage of the disease, which means animals become extremely thin and usually develop bottle jaw. Animals are culled or slaughtered in this stage. However, they cannot pass inspection for human consumption due to the infection. In other ruminant species such as goats or sheep, the progression of this disease may occur faster and more rapidly with a higher chance of weight loss, and this can sometimes be the only visible signs of infection. The following images show the drastic weight loss that Johne's disease causes on the exterior of the cow. Johne's disease infects the digestive system of animals. Within cattle, there is the mouth, esophagus, a 4-compartment stomach which includes the rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum, small intestine, large intestine, and also the anus. A cow will briefly chew food. While they're chewing, it will be broken down into smaller particles. As they chew, the digestive enzymes within the saliva are mixed with the food before it passes down the esophagus into the reticulum and rumen. This digestive material will flow freely between the reticulum and rumen. Within these compartments, they are collectively referred to as the reticular rumen. Most feed will be fermented here, but a small amount will pass unchanged into omasum and abomasum. Some of the larger food particles will be left unchanged to be regurgitated, chewed again, and reswallowed. This is also called cud or chewing of the cud. Food is fermented, and we are further broken down within the rumen by microbes. Rumen bacteria either digest cellulose, hemicellulose, starch, sugars, organic acids, proteins, or fat. The oomacin has many folds of tissues. Water is reabsorbed from digestive, and particle size is further reduced within these folds in the oomacin. Upon leaving the oomacin, digestive materials pass to the abomacin, which is also referred to as the true stomach of the cow. The abomacin secretes digestive enzymes that will further break down into protein, vitamins, simple carbohydrates, fats, and amino acids for nutrient reabsorption within the small intestine. Undigestible materials will then pass on to the large intestine, where excess moisture is reabsorbed and the fecal matter is formed. As mentioned, the primary cause and spread of Johne's disease is contact with feces or saliva of an infected animal. However, there can be a prenatal exposure, and this could be a source for infection for calves. This can be passed through birth or by the consumption of infected milk or colostrum. After reviewing the several methods of infection for Johne's disease, I believe it's important to return back to the ruminant digestive tract. As you can see, it is the same tract as normal digestion before Johne's disease. As you can see, feedstuffs will enter the mouth, go through the esophagus, the four-chambered stomach, and reach the small intestine. Within the small intestine, this is where the major change will happen for disease physiology. The bacteria, or paratuberculosis bacteria, will embed itself within the walls of the lower part of the small intestine, known as the ileum. In a response to the immune system, the infected tissues will then try to regenerate healthy cells and regrow the tissue, which will lead to a visible thickening of the intestines. This prevents nutrient absorption and in turn creates a symptom of weight loss and diarrhea. Later in the infection, antibody production will wrap up and the animal will find these antibodies in more abundance. This is an indicator of clinical signs and symptoms that death and disease is soon following after the infection. This image represents a comparison of the pre- and post-infection on the ileum for nutrient absorption within the small intestine for Johne's infection. On the left, we have the initial infection. As you can see, the intestinal walls within the small intestine are small. And on the right, we have late infection, where we have large masses and a thickening of the wall. And for this image, we see the ileum thickness comparison for the small intestine. On the top, we have a normal small intestine. As you can see, the grooves and the ridges are small. And on the bottom, we have a thicker small intestine. The ruler kind of shows the comparison a little more. So at the bottom, this is the affected Johne's disease small intestine. The symptoms of Johne's disease includes weight loss, diarrhea, and bottle jaw. This is because the small intestine is crucial to the animal's survival. After the digestive leaves the abomacin, or true stomach, and enters the small intestine, this is where nutrients are broken down enzymatically. This is through secretions from the pancreas and liver, and this allows absorption. From fatty acids and sugars to amino acids as well as water, this is absorbed through the intestinal villi within the small intestine. Active nutrient absorption occurs in the small intestine, such as rumen bypass protein absorption. Due to the lack of nutrient and water absorption, this will then affect water absorption within the large intestine. This is what causes the fluid-like diarrhea that is connected to Johne's disease. In addition, there will be a reduction of protein absorption into the blood during digestion. These symptoms of protein loss can then lead into intermanular edemas, more commonly known as bottle jaw. Once a bovine reaches this stage of disease, the life expectancy is not very long. The following images represent these signs and symptoms. This is an image of the fluid-like diarrhea, as well as this one, and the next two following images can show the bovine bottleneck or bottle jaw. As you can see, its neck and around its manular is kind of hanging lower.